Hello Internet Land, this is Adam Kidd. I am the FX Kid, and what I am presenting today is a wonderful tutorial, and this will be a continuing part of our South Park FAQ. This is actually the first chapter if you go past certain introductions, and we're obviously going to be working on a guy like this. So what we're going to be focusing on today is one of two things. Our first video is going to cover how to take a series of phonemes, so that's mouth shapes, and how to turn them effectively into an animatable item, such as we have here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a sample animation, nothing that really makes sense, but we're going to show how if the workflow goes wrong, it's going to look like garbage. And a proper workflow with a few simple tricks helps make this flow very well. So I've seen this tutorial happen a million times on the internet. This basically consisted of someone maybe throwing up an image frame of a drawn mouth shape and then flipping back and forth between pictures. And to be honest with you, I found that was kind of ineffective just on the basis that you had to deal with a transparent image, so that was a problem. If the conditions were wrong, you also had to deal with the possibility that the plane didn't line up properly, and it's obstructing something else, and they didn't take into account for eyes, nose, all sorts of things. So I wanted this to look as much like, construction paper. I wanted it to look as close to the real thing as possible, and we'll be able to grab that file. So for those of you at home who want to play along, what I've done is I've created 9 phoneme shapes. So I know what you're saying, all those at home who know how to animate at least a little bit, maybe you're using Flash or something like that. Hey, Adam, shouldn't there be 10? And the answer is yes, you are 100% correct. There should be at least 10, one of them being a rest pose, but I'm going to cheat this one a little bit. I got a phoneme that kind of looks like a rest pose, and I'm just going to stick with that. So these are all based on South Park shapes, and what we did was we scanned the images in, and then converted them to vectors, imported them into Blender, separated the layers very carefully, and then turned them all into meshes. And then after the meshes were turned, I actually just took every single one of them, like I'm going to do right now, and joined them together. All right, Control J. And this may seem very destructive, but ultimately what I want to be able to do is to work with this relatively seamless, and this is going to help me do that. And you'll see how it all makes sense a little later on. I'm also going to move that camera for now, just mainly because it's in the way, and we're not going to need it right now. So before I go any further, I just want to give the mad props to the people who deserve it. And the first mad props is going to go to this guy. David Rodriguez, who is a frequent contributor to Blend Swap, and he has he has put up quite a chunk of really genius stuff, and I always love to download his blends, and I always love to play around with his blends because they're very good, and he's a guy who really thinks outside the box. So what he did was he made a 72-hour film project called I don't know what it's called. I just call it Des Animados because there it is right there, the Des Animados project. So it was a 72-hour project, and he uploaded all the files, so people were able to download them and play around with them. And what he did there was he took pictures of the mouths. So basically, he designed them in Inkscape, I believe, and then texture or built what they should look like as meshes inside of Blender, and then UV mapped them. And I'm going to deviate just a little bit from that because I have a distinct look I'm going for, and I don't want to risk a UV map messing up on me. So props to him. I'm going to do it a little bit different. But by all means, enjoy his please, I'm going to put a link up for this because this is really fun. I enjoyed watching it. So, speaking of blend swap, I'm just going to move our image up here. You can get all of this at this address. Okay? This is what the link is showing up, and if you're watching on a non-computer or anything that YouTube does not allow, you're going to have to go to the comments section, you download the blend files, and then we can go from there. So we have the file. Let's save that. You won't have to. And let's get to business. So tab into edit mode. And we're sure that everything is there. Good. And we're going to start creating some vertex groups. So the first vertex group we're going to create is the first phoneme, which is going to be right here. And that first phoneme is going to be called A. And I like to number them first, or A, sorry. And let's go ahead and create a new one. New group, 0, 2, and this one's going to be called E. So we're going to go through the vowels. I. That's not an I. O. 0, 4. O. And this next one, you'd think it'd be a U, but it's actually an oo. Ooh. Okay, so before I go any further here, I'm just going to explain the phonemes. These are English language phonemes. So if you're multilingual and you're working in a different language and you want to work in your native language, unfortunately, as much as I would love to tell you what the base phonemes are going to be for your language, I just don't know. And I mean, there are charts available, but they just show all the phonemes, which doesn't help us much because, you know, that can be sometimes up to 24 phonemes. We just need the bare minimum to animate. So I do apologize for that. Anyway, the English language phonemes are A, E, I, O, U, and then our consonant ones, there's a little phrase to remember that, and they're F, M, L, S. And for those of you at home who are over the age of 21, you know what this acronym is going to be when I say it. For those of you under the age of 18, I'm not going to say it the way I would normally say it, and I'm going to say it the way I would say it to my children. Fun my life sister. Okay? So it's A-E-I-O-U, fun my life sister. And hopefully that helps you. I don't know, it helps me. So 0, 6. F. 0, 7. 0, 8. Law. So that's Famalasa. And you could put a rest pose in, but I'm going to cheat and just use my phoneme because it's really just a line. Next thing we got to do is start assigning vertex groups, and that should be pretty quick and easy. since we're already in edit mode. So B to box select, and A, assign, deselect. Now you could also link if you have something like the O or the U, but I find that one takes a little time. Assign. Now deselect. I should put screencast keys on, shouldn't I? Start display. Sorry about that. So for the record there, B to box select. All right, and then it's I assign. By the way, I by default click with my left mouse button, and that's just because I'm right-handed. So if that does confuse anybody, that's what's going on there. This is an O assign. Link. U assign. F. Assign. M. Law. Sa. So there we go. They're all assigned, and you can actually go ahead and deselect, select. You can just do a double check just to see how they look. All right. And one thing I might have forgotten. No, yeah, we got a problem there. Okay, so in doing all this, I forgot to do one very important thing, and that was make sure that my visible clipping is on. All right, and that's a depth buffer. And the reason behind that is it's only going to select what it can see without that. So probably be a good measure to go and do this again. A, E, I, O, U. I've done this so many times that I can do this in my sleep now. Believe it or not, I've actually tried recording this about 3 times today, but it's very hot here in the Bay of Quinte, where I am from, and the kids are just bonkers today. Doesn't help that they also ate a lot of cake today. All right, so that should be good. Next, what we have to do is start making a way for these to disappear. And we're going to do that with a modifier. So the modifier we're going to add is a mask modifier. And we're going to go ahead and I'm going to label these based on their vertex group. So A, Control C, Control V. There we go. I tried to do a shortcut key that would let me just copy and paste without with nothing more than a couple of clicks, but I didn't have any luck with that. Let's see. Copy. E. So I'm going to have to do this the old-fashioned way. E. So one of the great things about Blender is you can actually toggle the visibility of absolutely anything. Well, okay, I'm sure there's something in there you can't toggle the visibility of, but what we can do is add drivers to get better control over those things, and that's what we're going to do next. So, for And this part's just maybe a little bit tedious. I mean, if you want to skip forward a few minutes, I'm just going to banter a little bit. And I know some of you do not like that, but that's okay, because that's what makes my show work out. I noticed, you take a guy like Dave Ward, and he does the same kind of bantering. And I like it a lot, actually, because it, adds character to the show. Also helps he's really good at stuff, so... If you get a chance, go see Dave Ward. I'm going to go ahead and put a link on his show right now. I highly recommend having a beer with Dave. Those ones were pretty funny. So we're going to copy that. Copy that. There we go. 7. Too bad, like, you get some people that can be very negative about, the bantering, and that's unfortunate. Another guy who likes to banter, he usually does it, like, he's got a time and place for it, but that's, oh, criminy crackers. That's what I say instead of swearing now. Andrew Price is another guy who, he has very good banter. So, I mean, I think it's very important to know as much about the person doing that. I don't need to put up an Andrew Price link. I mean, geez. All you gotta do is say, I need to know how Blender works, and it probably goes to his website. Okay, screw it. There it is right there. So, we have done we've done all 9 of our phonemes there, and the next thing I want to do is start applying drivers to these. So what the driver is going to do is it's going to actually turn parts of the modifier on and off accordingly. Okay. Because animating like this will drive you bonkers. Alright? You could do it, but it would suck. It would really suck. So, first, let's go ahead and right-click on the camera. Don't do the eye, because we're going to use the render viewport for testing things out. I find it's best to screw it up with the render settings and find out and then fix it later. If you screw up with the eye, you have to go and start chasing things. So, add driver. And the next thing we're going to do is, before we go any further, let's go ahead and add an armature. Add armature single bone. I'm going to go ahead and rotate that. Rotate on the x-axis, negative 90 degrees. There we go. And let's name the bone itself. I'm not going to bother naming the armature. Let's name the bone Phoneme. All right. And the reason I don't bother naming the armature, the full armature, is if I'm bringing this into another blend, and I'm going to sort of make it part of another armature for another character or something like that, that name's just going to get overwritten anyway. I mean, you could name it if you want, but I just don't think it's worth it. That one, though, on the other hand, very important. Let's name it. Okay, so now that that's named, let's go ahead and go into our animation. So animation sets up some windows here, and if you're a little unfamiliar with those, we have the dope sheet summary, which we will not use at this time. We have the F-curve editor, but we don't need that. We need drivers. So we have drivers set up, and let's see what we got here. Oh, yes. So I'm going to go ahead and change the interpolation mode. So what that is that's how Blender handles this particular curve that we have set up. So we're going to go ahead and hit key, interpolation type, constant. So what that's going to do is it's not going to let you it's not going to let you have a halfway point for your animation or your driver. What it's going to say is it's either at one spot or at another spot. There's no in the middle. Okay, and that's going to work out very nicely for us because we need this, the value for this to be the visibility. Okay, and the visibility is going to be either it's off at 0 or it's on at 1. All right, and that's going to apply to this modifier right here. By the way, this effect you can actually do for anything. So if you bring in like vector curves and you want to be able to toggle the visibility up here, you just do add driver and you can do the exact same thing. In fact, I do that quite frequently, but we're not working with vector curves today, so we're just going to apply it to a modifier. So I don't like the fact that I can't see that very well. I'm going to go ahead and select it. And I'm going to change that rainbow type to the color. User defined. Make it black because I want to be able to see it. So we're going to go ahead and select a point that is right down here. And where is she? Let's box select. All right, and I'm going to extrude or shift D. So that's going to duplicate that curve. And it's going to throw it all over the place. And I want a little bit of better control. So I'm going to set it to the x-axis. And I'm really only going to move it 1. Okay? So if you want to zoom in a little bit closer, you can do that by... Here, let's make that a little shorter by grabbing the end toggle and pushing it up. And let's zoom in a little bit on this side. And there we go. So that looks good. And I'm going to show you a couple of tips for how to cheat this. So we're going to go ahead and copy the driver, and we're going to paste the driver. I'm going to turn off the visibility of the previous one, and just select everything, and grab X1. And what that's going to do is that's just going to move it over a little bit. All right. You know what I realized? We forgot to do anything here. I'm going to delete that second driver and just leave the first one open. In our curve settings, we have our first one selected. I want to make sure that the type of driving that we're going to do is an averaged value. And I want to make sure that it affects what we do with our armature and our phoneme bone. So now it's going to say that whenever we move the bone in pose mode, it is going to affect this, but it's going to affect it on the world space. I don't want that. I want transform space. And the reason behind that is if I set it to world space and I need to move my armature around, that's just going to mess up my phonemes. So now that that's in place, I'm going to take a sip of water. It is really hot. It is 40 degrees right now. That's 40 degrees Celsius. Let's copy and paste that driver. And now we're going to do that cheat again. Grab X1. There you go. So we could, let's do it one more time. Copy, paste driver, grab X1. All right. And now I'm going to cheat a little bit. So I got all my curves selected here. All right, they're all visible. All right, good. I'm going to minimize them again. And I'm just going to cheat. Like this is a fun cheat. Copy the driver from 1, paste it to 4. 2 goes to 5. 3 goes to 6. Paste the driver. There you go. That's all it takes. And it's going to give us 3 new curves. I'm going to grab those, shift them on the X. This time it's going to be 3. And there we go. Time saved. All right, and I'm going to do that one more time, this time with my last 3. Okay, 4, copy driver, 7, paste driver. If you're not comfortable doing this cheat, that's okay. Just go ahead and do it manually one at a time. All right, and then 6 goes on to 9. I just like it because it's a good time saver. Grab X3. There you go. So now all of our drivers are open. They're all visible. And now here's where the magic happens. Pose mode. And as I pull to the right, you're going to notice everything is going to disappear. And it's not going to disappear for this very important reason. We've only applied this to the render settings. So now, copy driver, paste driver. Copy, paste. So I'm just taking the values that the render is doing and putting it right next to the visibility. All right, so this is a real-time view. And it's just going to basically make it so that whatever we see in the real-time view, we see in the render view. And again, this is why we try it on the render setting first, because if you screw up, you can always, fix it in the render settings without having a whole bunch of stuff disappear on you. All right. Before I go any further, let me just clarify what our curve is supposed to look like. So it should start at 0, all right, and if you want to confirm that right there, your value is going to be 0. It's going to go up to 1, and then one blender unit later, it is going to turn back to 0. So if that is, again, like old binary, 1 on, 0 off. I don't know binary, so if that's wrong, please don't grill me for it. Sorry. All right. What I do know is these drivers. So let's try it. We're going to take our bone and move it. And look, it works. All right. It's not perfect yet. We still have a couple of things that I don't like. I like the fact that if you go too far to the left, it brings everything back. And that's just because I want to be able to view it if I want to. And same too far to the right. All right. If you come across this problem in your animation, the solution is don't go that far. Okay. The problem I have right now is I really want the transformations to happen like right around here, right in the center, and I have to go all the way to the right for that to happen. I don't like that, so I'm going to fix that. And the solution to that, of course, is select everything we got there. All right, all of your stuff is visible. All right, so let's select it, and we're going to grab it on the x-axis, negative. Oop. Grab it on the x-axis. And I'm going to go negative, I don't know, arbitrary, somewhere between 1 and 9, 6, negative 6. Not bad. And you will find, happily, the transformation is happening right in the middle. Okay? So the next thing we got to do is fix these. They're all in the wrong spot, and I don't care what kind of cartoon you're doing. If you put the mouths in the wrong spot all the time like that, it's just gonna suck. So there was a method to my madness of putting them in a grid like this, and here we go. So we're gonna go ahead and go into our data tab, our object data tab. We're going to create, I'm gonna do this in the default view, just because it looks better. The data tab, and we're going to add a shape key. So the first shape key is going to be exploded view. And those of you who are not familiar with exploded view, if you're dealing with like blueprints or fixing engines or something like that, they always present you with an exploded view to show what all the parts look like next to each other. So next thing we're going to do is assembled. Ooh. And for that, we're going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to highlight And this is the fun part. Super quick. 1. You know what? Could be quicker. Don't like that there. Grab. Blink. Grab. All right, now do it. 1. 2. It's okay if they're offset a little bit, because one of the magic thing, like little magic things about this type of construction paper replacement animation is that you, here we go. It's okay for it to be a little imperfect because that adds to the charm. So now there's our faces all like that. Let's switch the value all the way up to 1. That brings them all together. And now, when we move our bone, look at that. Oop, too far. So you try to do your best to remember, oh, don't go there. There you go. Now you could set up a bone constraint if you want. Let's see, add bone constraint, and you can limit the distance. So I'm not going to do that. And the reason behind that is I have not gone into a limit distance class yet. So too much for this class. So what we have here is a finished product. I mean, you could take this project here. Let's grab it. I'm going to set the origin to the geometry. There you go. And no, that's a lie. I'm going to set it to 3D cursor. All right, and I could take this and I can put it in front of one of my characters, or I can even do something like this. All right, I can put it on top of a 3D model, and I can emulate the robot chicken effect, where basically they, in a studio, they will take their action figures and they will put mouths, little paper mouths, over top of the dolls and move them accordingly to get the animation. From as far as I know, they don't really do much computer stuff in Robot Chicken. I think they go straight for photography effects. But yeah, they just paste the little mouths on there, and you could do that with your project. Let's see. I suggest you take the greatest model that you can find and just butcher it with with this. Or, you know, you can take a picture of somebody famous and you get them talking. There you go. So we have this finished rig. In our next video, we're going to show you how to animate it, but more specifically, how to animate it properly. If you follow this step incorrectly, it's going to look like garbage when you edit, and we'll show you why in the next one. So until next time, please like this video, subscribe to us, leave a comment below, hook us up on Facebook, and you know, we'll talk to you later. Peace and love, peace and love. Talk to you later. Bye.